Good evening, everyone. Here in the Next Gen Millionaire Club. Let me get my video there. There we go. So I want to come to you. It's been a week, man. It's been a week. It's been a couple weeks. So I want to pop in there. Last week was pretty quiet in here. I want to stay a little more quiet um, to really kind of just calm my voice, right? As much as I'm in here and other places, just to allow the other voices and respect the movement of what's going on online. But I also want to add to it. So this week I'm coming back, um, and uh, there's been some interesting things happen over the world overall, right? And first we have the pandemic of the virus, and everybody's thoughts on that are all over the place. There's a lot of politics in the U.S. going on right now that, frankly, are very disturbing. And then there's the Black Lives Matter movement and writing for those individuals who have perished at the hands of police officers recently. So there's a lot going on in the world right now. There's a lot of ways to use our voices, which I really like. And I've seen a lot of you in this group, right? I see posting online and reaching out and saying, hey, this is a real thing. Saw on the post I posted a couple days ago, people put in there. Jackie posted she's reading the one book. I've not read that book yet. Um, and there's another one I'll go back over later and post in there with some really good videos that I've seen that also help talk about that. Anyways, what I want to talk about tonight, in just a short few minutes here, is about the attitude of consistency. Uh, you know, as we're more consistent with ourselves, right? There's a lot of really good habit books out there, and just kind of a little plug someone has. And I have not read this, so don't hold me for this, but I've heard from a couple of people now that it's really good, and it's called Atomic Habits by James Clear, I believe. Um, but just look at habit building, right? And what do we do with our time? I want you to think for just a moment. What do you do? What are the habits? What are the things you do every single day? Right? You don't get up and shower every day, you brush your teeth. Like, what are these little habitual things that you do? Right? Those are the things I want you to start thinking about. Because as we start understanding like what it is that we do every day, we can start to understand ourselves more. Uh, if you hear that, I'm sorry. There's some loud motorcycle outside. Um, but think about those habitual things, right? We eat 3 times a day, or most people do, right? That's kind of a habit. I know from working in corporate for so long because I always had a window of time during the day of when I could go to lunch, right? Which is always like noon, right? That's like the expected time, like all these parameters they put it on you. I find that every day around noon, my body gets hungry. Like, if I want to change that, I need to like create a new habit around when I eat. I eat when I get up, eat around then, and eat like the corporate workday has like set the rhythm for how I eat. Right? There's a habit there, like clockwork. Now, if I look at Debbie, Debbie's much different. Sometimes she gets annoyed by me when I say, "Hey, we need to go eat some food," because my body's saying, "Let's go do it," but hers is programmed a little different. Right? So first, think about that. What are those routines that you're in every day because you're consistently doing them? Right? We're going to lean into consistency a little bit. Right? The other thing I want you to do is next question, right? After you thought about that for a moment, and if you have to pause this video, pause it, right? And think, okay, what do I do every day? Make a short list. That's cool. Because until we can understand ourselves, we can't change how we act or react to different situations, right? The attitude of consistency is going to say is as we show up, right? We're not going to talk about money yet, but as we show up, what happens is we begin to build trust in ourselves. Right? You hear that? We build trust in ourselves when we show up for us and as we show up for other people. So the trust is, hey, I'm going to feed myself today because we typically do that every day. Right? Nobody in here is like, oh, I skip food. Maybe some of you do, but nobody in here is starving. Right? So think about that. As we are consistent, we build trust in us. Well, as we have clients and income coming in, it builds some consistency around money as well. Right? And we start to trust money that is going to be there for us because we have the work coming in. But what happens when that trust is broken? Like it doesn't show up when we need it. We're feeling strained this month. Or we're feeling a little like, hey, there's not enough money coming in. What am I going to do? Can I trust it enough? See, we always blame the money for not being there, but the person we need to start looking at is yourself. Because when we're consistent in our actions, we build trust in ourselves. And then when we build trust in ourselves, we can look at the results that are going to follow that same trust. Because we know it's like some skill that you have, right? We're all very skilled people, that you're just going to sit down and all of a sudden you're not going to like forget about how to do something, right? We know because through repetition, right? My whole career I was in IT. How did I learn to code so well? Repetition. I wrote a lot of different scripts in code, and pretty soon it comes like a second language. Through that consistency and repetition, right? I'm just like doing it every day because I was kind of forced to, right? I was trying to complete my job and do what I was supposed to do. It created a habit. And the habit was understanding how to write this language. Now we all have these. What happens is when we venture into something new, we're not quite confident enough in it, right? A little bit of confidence there, that we start to lack the consistency muscles in what we're doing, and then we start to second guess if the money's coming in. Happens a lot too when we're doing one thing in our business and we're like, hey, I want to tweak some things, right? I want to change just a couple dials, right? We'll move the dials around because like I'm getting kind of bored of what I'm doing. I want to do something a little different. So we change it up, and then it fails because we didn't get the people didn't buy in, or like we tried to do like a launch or something, launch a new product or something, we didn't have the people show up that we wanted to, like the amount of people. Then we freak out and we go back to do the same stuff we did before because there's trust there, right? So if we want to do something different, if we want more money in our lives, we need to trust ourselves more. Okay? We're doing the money step. If we want to trust money more, we're going to have money around so we can start to trust it. Part of that consistency. Remember I talked about habits in the beginning. What's one habit you can do? You can talk to money every day. Like people say I'm crazy when I say that, but it's really true. Like talk to it every day, see what's going on. Build a relationship, right? The best relationships you have are built on consistency. They're built on showing up every day for that other person. Well, if we put it back on ourselves, we show up every day for ourselves, it starts to build a lot of trust and a really good relationship with ourselves. But with money first, right? If you feel like you're lacking the amount of money you want in your life right now, if you feel like you're lacking that deep bonding connection with that income coming in and what you want, it's time to become consistent in how we interact with it. Now, you take the same thing I told you at the very beginning, right? Map out all the things you do every day on a regular basis, right? As little as brushing your teeth or making your bed or whatever that is, cooking breakfast, whatever, right? Find those habits. And then I want you to make a parallel list and be like, okay, what's the consistency of when I have money come in? Like if I have money come in, how do I respond to it? What's that consistent behavior? Because if we can't figure out what that behavior is, we can never change it, right? And it all starts with small habits. So if we can build the consistency, we can build the trust in ourselves, we can build the trust in money by building a relationship with it, understanding what our relationship is, then we can start to understand more of how it's going to come in our lives and how it's going out. Then we can start to turn the levers and gears in our businesses to make more come in and maybe less go out. Right? We can have a healthy balance of the flow that it happens through our lives. Okay? So think about that, right? Consistency. And you see it throughout the world. Like it's how you create habits. It's how you build muscle. It's how you lose weight. All these other things that we're being taught. It's how you make more money. It's how you lose less of it. Right? It's how we feel more about ourselves. But at the end of the day, like scrape away all that stuff, it all comes down to how much do we trust ourselves to really step into that next big thing we want to do so that we can make the amount of money that we want. Right? So it's time to start trusting yourselves more. It's time to really start trusting money more, right? One, you got to build a relationship with it. How do you do that? Simply speak to it, right? Sit down on a table in front of you and say, okay, money, what's up? Right? Or if you have like a $100 bill or $1 bill, whatever bill, like talk to the person on it and be like, hey, what's going on here? right? And understand what behaviors are behind that. And then we have to be consistent in creating new habits with how we interact with it. Catch yourself. Until you're aware, you're never going to know how it's impacting you. Consistency is an important piece of building new habits. And part of building new habits is understanding where you're at, doing an honest, you hear me? You're doing an honest evaluation of where you're at. Because you can't be honest with yourself, it's going to be really hard to take that next step forward. Because you're not going to know why all these emotions and all this stuff comes up. Okay? So be consistent. Talk to your money. And then figure out what it is you want to do next so that you can start drawing more of it into you. Okay? If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. But consistency feels like such a small thing, right? Feels like just a small, like, oh yeah, we can be consistent. We're consistent in a lot of things until we're not, right? Fear and emotion, a lot of stuff drives us to not be consistent when it comes to things that matter most in our lives. When it's easy, then, it's really easy to be consistent. So figure out what it is that you're doing right now, and then create a list of what you want to do. And then we can have more discussion later. So if you have any questions, drop them below. Again, like I said, otherwise I will see you in the group. Bye.